What's up, guys? Josh from Cardfight Empire here today, bringing you guys a brand new FutureFight Vanguard video. So sorry guys that I didn't upload a video every day this week. I had a lot of stuff going on. It's pretty hard to upload videos every single day, and so I thought I had the night free tonight, so I'm going to probably upload all the videos tonight that I missed along the days. So the new Trinity Dragon set has come out. It's pretty impactful, and then we're gonna finish going over the decks in that. So today we have the Grand Gallop deck, or the Burst deck rather, and let's get right into the deck build for that. So we have 4 Bravest Rush Grand Gallop. That is the brand new Grand Gallop. It's pretty good. Lets you stride for free when you have less than 2 cards in your hand. Meaning that if you use your entire hand to guard, then you will be able to stride for free, like no matter what you draw, which is pretty cool. Its on stride skill gives 4K to your Vanguard, and then if it has the burst ability, meaning if it's like Commander and Laurel D or like X lead, you actually get to give your Vanguard another 4K, so it actually gives plus 8K, which is pretty cool. The rearguard ability I never use because I feel like your Vanguard doesn't get big enough for it to be relevant. But if your Vanguard is ever over 60K, then you have the Grand Gallop on the rearguard circle, it'll get a crit. So you know, we have 3 old Gallop, 4 Grand Revolvers, not new. 4 Grand Rifter, not new, and then 3 Grand Fire. 4 Grand Reef. I ran 1 Grand Vehicle, 2 Grand Ladies, 4 Laurels, 4 Grand Rope, Grand Hop, and then 8 Crit, 4 of those being Grand Beat, 4 Reika Stand Triggers, and then 4 Heals. And then for the G Zone, actually have quite a bit to say about the G Zone because I put in a lot of work during my games that I played on and off the video. So the games that I played on the video, like Laurel D. Now it's kind of awkward having like Laurel D and actual Commander Laurel in the same deck because they like conflict with each other, as both make you rest 4 rearguards. And once Laurel D restands your rearguards, it's no longer relevant to use the regular Commander Laurel skill because that would mean that your attack didn't hit. So they were very creative in creating the way that this card worked. So I'm happy for that. Like they didn't just mess up and create a way for normal Laurel and Stride Laurel to be used together. That would be ridiculous. Commander Laurel D is pretty good first stride. It's pretty easy to obtain as well. Like, literally when you stride onto Commander Laurel D and you're on the new Grand Gallop, you already get plus 8K, so that's already putting it to 23. And it's able to use skill. And then you want to pump it up like 4K more with something else, like you can pump it up with your starter, Grand Hop. Any of those, like your grade 2s over here, any of your grade 2s. I think you can even pump with Grand Lady right here and Grand Vehicle. So there's a lot of cards in your deck that actually pump. And when you're going into that for first stride, it's kind of cool because if your opponent just happens to like not guard it or anything, like if your opponent does guard it, you still get your rearguard attacks just like a normal stride turn. But if your opponent doesn't guard it, you get to restand your Vanguard, which is also pretty cool. And if your opponent happens to like take it, then you restand and they block the second one, you still get to stand for your rearguard. So it's a very strong card. I ran it at 2 just in case the first one like doesn't hit or something. You can go into like a second one, do it again, and then your opponent is like less likely to guard. Now X lead, I ran 1 of this card in the build that I play tested for this video, but I actually think that X lead is like such a good card that it might need more than a 1-of spot, because I reread it later, and basically what it does is has burst, and when the attack hits and it's 35,000 power or greater, you draw a card. And then if it has 40,000 or greater, then you choose one of your rear guards and you stand it. So you can use this card with Laurel to, if your opponent no guards your Vanguard, you hit, you use Commander Laurel to rest 4 rear guards, and then you stand one of your rear guards that had been rested from Laurel. So it's pretty good. It turns Laurel into like a rest 3 instead of like a rest 4. But you still need to have 4 rear guards on the field so that you can do it. 4 standing rear guards. So the second ability is choose up to 5 of your rear guards and rest them. And then you choose a rear guard, and for each unit that you rested, the unit that you chose, like the rear guard and the Vanguard, gain 4K for each of the units that was rested. So if you're about to use like things that I missed here is if you're ever going to use Grand Beat or like Reika, like the best thing is like playing these two and using like X lead skill to rest them, and then using Reika's ability and sending it back to the deck, or using Grand Beat and sending it to Soul. So it being rest didn't really hurt you or hurt your attackers or anything, which is pretty good. Then X lead, when it restands, obviously gets a draw card and do it again. So it's pretty awesome. 4 Axe Gallop strides, pretty standard. Quadruple drive, and it gives 4K power to the front row for every gallop face up. Pretty good. X Phoenix, I never really used it, but I put one in for the sake of space and the old build. You can change this to Sabreeze if you like, or you can also change one of these X Tigers to Sabreeze. I would probably change one of the X Tigers to Sabreeze, since X Tiger can flip anything. You can just flip an X Tiger or flip this, and then flip your Sabreeze, and then if you go into like your last X Tiger, maybe you can flip a G Guardian or something like that. But speaking of G Guardians, we ran 2 G05, and then we ran 2 X Caravu. So both of them are 36K guard G Guardian. The difference being that G05, if you took damage, you want to use him because you can get 5K more to your shield. And then X Caravu is like if you're against like really pesky decks like I don't know, like Gears Chronicle or something like that. I want to say something that will attack with their Vanguard first, because you obviously like you want it to be 30K or more, but sometimes you want to use the little secondary ability of the G Guardian, giving 4K to your Vanguard for the rest of the turn. So it's pretty good defensive. You can make your Vanguard 15K, so that's pretty good. But getting right into the matches, we are going to reopen our area here. And then we are going to start up Grand Gallop Game 1. Alright, so I'm against Grand Blue for this first game. I end up going first, riding Grand Vehicle. So, oh, I actually showed the wrong build, I guess. So I forgot that I kept almost decking out with my Grand Gallop build. So I actually decided to go with a Grand Gallop / Sinbuster build, like Metalborgs. So I will show that build off after we go through the game, since we're already doing the games. But sorry about that, guys. I forgot about that. But the first, I guess you can use the first build if you want to build just pure Gallop. And then the second build will be if you want to do Metalborg Gallop, which I think is funner. Or more fun. So he's playing like a weird mix of like 7 Seas and Night Rose, I think. But here he draws 2 criticals and puts them into Soul. And I thought that he was gonna Ghost me later, but I never really saw Ghost like that. So I no guard this attack. He checks the starter. I damage check Laurel, unfortunately. That would have been nice to have. So I ride to 3, and then I play the rear guard because it would do more on the field than in my hand, even though it's requires Legion. So I end up checking a Laurel. I give him 1 damage to use, and he rides and then strides into the Ghosty King. So he ends up putting Negro Rook, Columbard, and Ruin Shade into the drop zone. Then he calls Grenache and calls Negro Rook. And at this point, I think I asked him if they were hollowed. Yeah. Alright, so I end up taking the Vanguard. He checks a heal and 2 grade 3s, which is really good for me because I'm always scared of like getting double crit by Grand Blue when I no guard them. When I no guard their first stride at 3 damage, it seems like always happen to me. But he uses the hollow abilities, does all that, and then I actually end up going to X lead here. I counter bust 1, give 8k, and then I use my starter skill to give 8k more. Then I put into the soul, unflip, and draw. And then here I play the PG. Use the PG skill to soul blast, and then making sure that it can gain 4k and return itself to the hand at the end of the turn. So here I use Reika, and then I use Reika again. And then I actually ended up playing that grade 1 from my hand just so that I could reach Laurel's skill. So he no guards. Not really sure why now that I'm seeing his hand. Like, I think it would have been safer to PG. But definitely this gives me a chance to show you guys the combo that I was talking about. So I drew 2 first, also because of Reika. So Reika is not once per turn, so it stacks. So it's pretty cool if you use like the stand trigger ability or whatever, you just get extra cards. So he takes 1 damage. I use the skill of Laurel to rest 4, and then restand Vanguard. And then I stand it, and I stand my front row rear guard. So then I attack again. I draw 2 because of the stand trigger. And this is why I kept decking out. Because I kept doing like this ridiculousness. And in the normal version, like you'll just deck out like really hard. And I guess it makes sense why he didn't PG my Vanguard, because he doesn't know what Laurel does. Like, he asked me why my Vanguard stood. So I never understand why people don't read the cards that are currently on the board, but yeah, but this might have been like a completely different game had he just PG'd. But I believe at this point, yeah, I think at this point he quit because he realized like what was going on or whatnot. But yeah, so that game was quit, and then going into the next game, which is something I believe I'm gonna mention in like all 3 of the next videos I'm posting, but it seems like the Trinity Dragon set is a lot more like running their legions inside of the build because you're gonna deck out. Seems a lot more prevalent than I would have thought. So this is the second Grand Gallop game against Gold Paladins. This is post BT10 Gold Paladins, pretty sure. So I ride Grand Vehicle, I hit him, I check PG, he checks Gurgwit. Now this is actually like so good, like the rush. So I'm guarding with these cards that like I really don't want to guard with, just because I don't want to take early damage to golds, which he ends up getting a stand, so I still end up taking 2 damage out of all that after guarding with 2 cards. So it was kind of crappy, but then on top of that, he stayed on grade 2 because he didn't have a grade 3. And so I took a bunch of damage. I rode I decide to use the breeze here. And I use Grand Gallop to give 4K, but then I like realized that it's not really a point because Grand Hop can't use skill because I still won't reach 35, which was kind of a crappy realization, but I already made the play, so I don't take back plays. So I end up double critting him, putting him to 5, and then the very next turn, he top decks the grade 3 and then strides. So I actually didn't know that he didn't have the grade 3 before then. I thought he was just like grade locking himself on purpose. He's using a bunch of his skills to call and using a Hulsa, and the new Gurguit grade 3 here. And so I think he thought that the new Gurguit was a... Oh yeah, it is an act. Haha. Never mind. So he attacked me for 16. I block. Then he attacked, and I already knew that this turn was going to be super hard to survive because it's kind of like, it reminds me of Nova Grapplers when they have Cool Hank on the board. Just a bunch of attacks hitting me so many times. So then he moves that to Soul so that he can clear space on its board. Very smart move. He's able to just call a Jeffrey, which is very good because it's just going to plus him. And then I'm IPG. He does check a crit, so I was pretty upset about that because that means I have to PG the second attack to survive. And then I literally have to draw. Now, something I did forget here that it was that I could stride for free, but I guess it doesn't matter anyways because I end up riding the metal board because it's my last metal board grade 3, and I wanted to Legion some copies back. So I end up just doing Legion, knowing that I won't survive the next turn. Any stride that I could have went into like wouldn't have really mattered because he has that PG in his hand. So I figured I might as well Legion. And then I just attacked his Vanguard. He G-guards into, yeah, Slammy Flare. Uses Slammy Flare skill to call 2 off the rip. So that is 36, no pass. And then I check 2 and get nothing. So from this point I get pretty much wrecked because he strides into Gurguit, uses all of his skills. There's also the if you happen to like get it, if you happen to get it, it's really good to be able to ride Sinbuster as your first grade 3 instead of Bravest Rush Grand Gallop if you have like the Counterblast 2 and a Laurel, so that you can go into the Sinbuster stride with guard restriction, and like just like the old combo why D Police used to be so good. So he's using a bunch of Gold Paladin skills here. He attacks me for 36, which obviously I can't guard. So I take it. I get a crit. And then at this point, I'm hoping for a heal in my head. But then in my head, I'm also like, I won't survive unless I get double heal, which is, I'm pretty sure, impossible at this point. So I no guard the Vanguard. He checks PG, Jeffrey, and then Quill. And that was that game. So ultimately, like overall, that game was pretty sad because like I forgot a few things while I was playing. And not only that, but it's just like he had the perfect conditions for I guess golds to go good or golds to go off. Like from the early game, he played the grade 2s down, was rushing me. I had to drop a bunch of cards to prevent him from getting such high damage, and then he got a stand trigger and so on and so forth. And then it was like perfect for him to almost like be grade locked because he didn't have to G assist into it or anything. He just like top teched it. So this game I'm actually playing against Tachikaze. I believe this is like an ancient dragon type thing. I end up attacking him for 12. And then he plays this Psyche Phallos, which like did quite a lot actually during our games. Like he kept using it to I didn't want to destroy it. Like it wasn't enough problem that I needed to like go out of my way to destroy it or whatever. But yeah, it was like very annoying. So he checks the heal. He rides into grade 3. I no guard, hoping that I'll get a trigger. He gets a heal and heals, and then he gets a crit. So I was like, that's pretty OP. But then I checked 2 crits, and his rear guard can't hit me, which is really good. But not good that I'm at 4 damage. I like pretty much need to heal. So I stride into X lead, and then I use skill of my starter, and then I play the PG. I think I played 3 PGs here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and I literally laughed because I was just like PG rushing him because he has a 10k Vanguard. So I used Reika's skill to draw a card. I accidentally drew on purpose, but I was attacking at the same time, so it's just like, so this is like another person who no guarded when they had a PG in their hand, and I'm not really sure why they no guard, but I was able to rest 4 and then restand and then draw and then stand. So I attack and then I draw for stand trigger. And then maybe he just wanted damage. He also no guards this one. I check no triggers out of literally all 6 checks. And then I have to attack his rear guard, which he guards. Then the PGs return to my hand. And then it's his turn. I don't really remember why I drew. Oh, I drew a card because X lead hit again. Yeah. Which I just realized that I could have used X lead to restand one of my rear guards and then attack that rear guard again. The one that was important to him and made him drop an extra card. But he attacks me, hits double draw. Pretty good. I take this attack. And then I stride into the X Gallop stride. Give it 8k with the stride skill. Then I play Grand Rifter, not realizing that I don't have any soul. So I actually just end up playing like Grand Revolver and one of the grade 3s. So I place 2 stand triggers, shuffle them back to the deck. And then I play a crit trigger just to get a little soul. And I end up attacking with Vanguard. And he chooses to no guard here. I guess he just really wants to conserve hand, which I can understand, but like, I don't know, letting me get so ahead I feel like is the dangerous part. But yeah, I realized that I was supposed to draw 2 for the stand triggers, so I never even got the heal in the first place, which was unfortunate because I did want that heal. So I draw 2, and then now my checks are happening 1, 2, 3, 4. So I got a crit on the very last one. I put the crit all to Vanguard. I restand. And then I use X Gallop skill again to flip an X Gallop, and then I attack for 52. He PGs this time. I draw 2 cards, and then I check 4. So I end up getting another heal, and a crit, and a heal. Which unfortunately he wasn't at 4 damage anymore. So I think past this point, I actually don't remember what happens from this point. He attacks me for 13. I guard. And then he attacks me for 12. I guard. And then he attacks me with his Vanguard. Using Engorge to pop 3. I think I had to remind him also to use Dragon Egg's ability to return Dragon Egg to his hand. And I wanted to know if he was using skill before I guarded. So he took a while to like respond right here, but he did end up returning Dragon Egg to the hand because I think like with 4 open counterblasts, like, it would just be dumb not to, just to have extra security for next turn. So I end up PGing his Vanguard. I don't think that he should have attacked Rearguard Vanguard if he was going to retire the back 3. But he did anyways, which allowed my PG to be a lot more effective than it should have been. And then I stride right here for like, I don't even know why I did it, to be honest. But to be fair, I have 6 cards in my deck. I will check and then literally have, yeah, so I flipped Sabreeze this time, and then he tries to use the this G-Guard skill, the new Tachikaze G-Guard, and I'm pretty sure you have to pay cost and then it gets skill, so he wasn't able to return the Grade 2 to his hand. He was only able to give this other Rearguard the skill. And then my front row gets plus 12k because there's 3 gallops in there. Or not front row, but just my rear guards in the front row. So he devours 1. And so that's 36. I honestly would have just PG'd here. Not really sure why he wasn't like using any of his PGs, but 36, 46, 51 is 3 to pass, and then no pass. So I checked 1, check 2, check 3, crit, and then stand. So at this point, I'm like pretty much questioning where the heck my all of my legions are, and I think that they're like literally there's 1 in my drop zone and none in my hand, so like those 2 in the deck have to be the legion pretty much. So he strides. Yeah, he strides into Arc Raider. And then attacks 12k to rear guard, which I guard, I believe. Yeah. And then he attacks with Vanguard, uses skill to pop, and then uses Dragon Egg to return Dragon Egg to the hand, and then I PG it. He checks 3, which he checks Skype Terra. When he does that, I was like, whoa, people still run Skype Terra? It's crazy. But I end up drawing the Sin Buster. I ride it here, and then I perform Legion. So I decided to Legion back my Grade 3 Sin Buster. just so that like if it continued on a turn past this, then I could still Legion again. So I Legion back that, and then I realized that like the last card of my deck is pretty much a mate. And I forgot that I ran 3 Legions in this build and not 4. So I don't know why the deck, like on the recording, the deck count doesn't change, but my deck count wasn't 1. It was like 5 or something like that. But I check and get a heal, and then I check and get a crit. He no guards a Vanguard basically, so I killed him anyways. But that was the 3rd game of the Grand Gallop decks, guys. I almost forgot. I need to show you guys the Metalborg Grand Gallop build, and then we will be done with this specific video. So let's load up the Gallop Metalborgs. Okay. Alrighty, so let's go through this real quick. I'm gonna flip all the stride units. So unfortunately, I never really got to use the Metalborg stride side of things because I never was forced to really ride Sinbuster and just be on it. I always had Grand Gallop in the games, but I ran 4 Grand Gallops, 4 Sinbuster, 4 Grand Revolver, 4 Grand Rifter. I ran Grand Rifter even though sometimes you're on Sinbuster, because when you still go into the X Gallop stride, it's nice to have. It's also nice to Soul Blast cards out of your soul so that they can be Legion back. Because you don't really have another way to Soul Blast except for the PG. So there's that. And then you have 3 Urbuster, 3 Stride Fodders, 4 PGs, 4 Laurels, 3 Grand Vehicle, 1 Grand Hop, 4 crits, 4 being Grand Beat, 4 Rekas, and then 4 Erika. And then for the strides, we have 4 X Gallop, 2 Heavy Duke. So Heavy Duke was what I was talking about. If you're able to do the old Heavy Duke combo with Laurel on first turn, why not? It'll set you very ahead. You'll probably win the game off of it if your checks are not like just complete garbage and then you don't get rushed out or anything. I also ran 1 Guilt Digger in this deck. Now I would never go into Heavy Duke twice, just because I have Guilt Digger in here and it requires that you flip a Metalborg in your G zone. So I was pretty much running 2 Heavy Duke so that I could either go into Heavy Duke twice or go into Heavy Duke and then Guilt Digger, or Guilt Digger then Heavy Duke, whichever order. So this card actually allows you to, if you're already in Legion, when you stride onto it, it gets plus 20k in a crit. But if you're not on Legion, it allows you to Legion without putting cards back, and then you draw a card. So it is what it is. It like is a free stride because you get to draw a card and you get to come out while being in Legion, which is pretty good. So I ran 1 Axe Lead, pretty much my first stride target when I'm on Gallop, and then I ran 3 Tigers, 1 Sabreeze, and then I like literally ran 4 GO5s. So I ran 4 GO5s because the other G Guardians are just like useless to me in this specific build. I also wanted to Soul Blast, like, and make sure I got that Soul Blast aspect out. But yeah, with that being said, guys, that has been the video for the Grand Gallop Metalborgs Burst playtests for the FutureFight. Let me know if you guys enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe as usual. Share my video. Thank you guys for your support as always. We're rising up quite quickly, and I will see you guys on the next video.